Hello everybody, good morning, welcome to the United Stand. Hope you're all doing well this Monday morning. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as Erik ten Hag is slammed again by another former Manchester United player. Also, we've got links to Musiala. Should this actually be happening? Should either of those things be happening? Is it complete nonsense that doesn't help us? Or is there elements of truth in both stories? We'll talk about that. There's also competition for Angel Gomez from one of our biggest rivals. Apparently, Liverpool and Newcastle are looking at him. Should United be looking at him as well? We'll also talk on the latest with injuries. We've got Barnsley tomorrow. I'll be live at 2 o'clock with a preview of that. Lots going on this morning. Get involved. But look, I'm going to fly straight into this because, look, I get the fact that we are in a position of where we've lost 2 of our first 4. It was 2 of our first 3 before Southampton. It's 2 of our first 4. It's still not great. It is a step forward. But I think that what pisses me off is this constant negativity around Manchester United when people can be factually sat down by the improvement that we are making this season. And actually, there's been a few tweets over the last sort of 24 hours that I want to draw attention to, but also stats as well, to factually show that we are progressing and this style of play nonsense needs to be, put in the bottom drawer because it's the most lazy analysis out there. And it's basically, it plays to idiots. So Dwight Yorke, nice little segue in there. But this is what Dwight Yorke had to say about Manchester United this weekend. Speaking, I think he was on with bloody Keys and Gray on BN. God, if you live in that part of the world, pity. It's a lovely part of the world, but what I'm saying is your football coverage is shite. Manchester United legend Dwight Yorke has slammed the current side as the worst in our history and feels that they are a million miles away from league success. Well, I actually agree with him about being a million miles away from league success. 10 years of, failure is going to put you a long way from a club that's had 10 years of utter infrastructure success with Manchester City. But these words just absolutely, I just couldn't believe what I was hearing when he said that Man United are a million miles away from winning the Premier League. When talking about the current manager, this was a person to take us forward. And we thought after the first season, this would be the guy. What has happened? Yes, we've managed to win the FA Cup. But the identity in terms of how we play, where we finish, goals conceded, is the worst in our history since the Premier League started in 1992. And I'm just like, this is not last season, Dwight. I know that you can't get a decent job and you have to sit with a couple of complete and utter prats in Keys and Gray to make a living. But, you could make an effort to come up with something that's actually logical. Because Manchester United this season may have had a bad start to the season, but sitting there on national TV as an ex-player, and I do not use the word legend when it comes to Dwight Yorke, so I don't know why that gets used. I'll use ex-player, but I won't use legend. Talking out of his arse on a weekend when we've just won a game of football is why it is so difficult for Manchester United to succeed and, grow, because the pile-on never stops. This weekend was Liverpool losing at home to Nottingham Forest and Spurs having 4 points from 12. But yet again, it will be some angle to get onto our manager. Now, I am going to talk to you about Man United this season in a factual sense, right? Passes this season. This season, Manchester United, for passes, are 6th in the league. We're 6th. We're ahead of Brighton. Brighton have played 1,988 passes. We've played 2,062. We are 6th in the league for passes, ahead of Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, Brighton, just behind Chelsea and Liverpool. So, this worst team in the history is actually making progress this season, and you're not doing it any favours by taking a pop at it based on, sensationalist headlines to get in with, whoever the media that wants to drag us down. And it's not just about passes. When you look at defence, shots against, last season, absolutely terrible. If you want to go through last season's stats, we're a fucking joke. There ain't no joking about it. Absolute joke. This season, shots against, Man City first with only 25 shots against, Liverpool second with only 27 shots, Tottenham joint second with 27 shots, Brighton third, 32 shots. Aston Villa, fourth, 34 shots. Man United, 6th, with 38 shots. We have conceded less shots than Arsenal and Chelsea this season, compared to last season where we were conceding more shots than a stag party. So again, just factual progression when it comes to passes, shots against. But what about shots on goal? Because remember, last season we're absolutely shit at having shots. Well, look, it's not massive. I think we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're 9th for shots, right? But we're only 3 shots off being 6th. And last season we weren't hardly having any shots at all. And a lot of them are not outside the box either. We've had the same amount of shots outside the box as Man City this season. So, look, I'm not here to say that Rome's going to get built in a day. And I'm not here to say that this season's going to be great. And I do agree that we are miles away from the winning the league. But what's that got to do with the price of bread anyway? Why even talking about... I mean, what ex-player, Man United fan, is talking about winning the bloody league? Have you been in a bloody coma for the last 10 years? What are we talking about winning the league for? It's aspirational. It certainly should be the standard. And it certainly should be the journey. But it should not be... What are we talking about winning the league? Man City have just won 6 of the last 7. Arsenal will do well to win the league. We've got no bloody chance of winning the league. What we're talking about here is, correct me if I'm wrong, a terrible season last year with an abundance of mitigating circumstances, from twats off the pitch to selling the club halfway through the season, ignoring the January transfer window, a massive injury crisis, huge upheaval. Ineos come in, set a target to rebuild the club. We start the season and we're judging the team on what happened last season. It's just look at the progress of Manchester United in the first 4 games. Factually, we're conceding less shots, we're having more shots, and we're having more possession. And people start going, I can't see a style of play. I can't see a style of play. Oh, I can't see a style of play. You know, Jamie Carragher was more than happy last season, like bloody Michael J. Fox, who's gone back to the future and realised something everybody already bloody knows. You know, jumping around in his white trainers. Oh, this Manchester United side is wide open in the midfield. I figured it out. I'm jumping around like Zebedee. Man United's midfield is full of holes. It's like an hedgehog's pillow. Yeah, we know this, Jamie. We've known it all season. We actually watch the club week in, week out. The midfield's wide open. Well done. But there is no Monday Night Football tonight. But what they should be doing, and this is my major point, you know, Dwight Yorke's irrelevant, saying we're the worst Man United side ever. But what really does annoy me is just the imbalance of reporting. And it sucks in idiots. It sucks in some United fans who start believing, yeah, Dwight's right, it's the worst United side ever. They should be doing a segment on Monday Night Football about Man United and saying, you know what, I figured something out. Last season, right, Man United were conceding loads of chances, Gary. They were loads of chances. I'm going to stop now. Man United last season were conceding loads of chances, not creating chances, and not having much possession. In the first 4 games this season, they've massively improved with shots on goal. They've massively improved with goals, shots conceded, and they're having more possession. That's a definitive change in style of play from last season. It's not Rome. It's certainly not Rome. It's not even Stoke. But we're building something, and it's very obvious that we're building something, but it's also very obvious that to expect it to be built in 4 games ain't going to happen for a multitude of reasons. But even when you look at the games we lost, we shouldn't have lost to Brighton. We've beat Southampton, we've beat Fulham, we should have won both games and we did. We shouldn't have lost to Brighton. And Casemiro basically fucked up the Liverpool game. Fine margins, we take it on the chin. But I'm not having it. I'm just not having it. He's not having it. I'm not having it. And I don't think we should have it. I think reporting should be fair and balanced. And I'm tired. I want something more. I'm tired of this there's no style of play bollocks when there quite clearly is progression and there quite clearly is a journey. It might not be that big to some, but you know, for me it's massive in the sense that I think that we have to be fair that if we're trying to go on a journey, you can't just pretend that it's the same shit as last season, because it's not. I mean, I saw a tweet from just a footy fan, actually. I mean, I don't know how accurate these stats are. I mean, the stats I've given you are factual. They're from Y-Scout. I don't know how accurate this is. But compared to other teams in the league, this is how Man United rank. Shots conceded 6th. Well, that's right, because we've just done that. Tackles were 1st. Interceptions were 1st. Shots on target were 4th. XG were 3rd. Big chances created were 3rd. Big chances missed were 1st. Passes were 6th. Well, we know that's correct. So 2 of those I know for a fact are correct. So clean sheets were 3rd. Possession won in the final 3rd were 4th. I mean, look, I don't know how accurate that is, and stats can be all over the place. But, you know, even if 50% of that is partially correct, and I know shots conceded is right, and I know passes is right, and I know shots for us is right, if most of that's right, then it is progression. And I just think, look, we probably could lose to Crystal Palace on Saturday, but let's just try and not be negative Noras or negative Neils. And actually, there is some progression there, and I'm tired of people just taking the easy route. And I'm sorry, I don't think I was going to get time to do Pratt of the Week this week, but it's got to be Dwight Yorke. Worst Man United side in history. What is he talking about? He's talking absolute shite. Absolute shit. Hi, Mark. I haven't caught a live show in a while. Hope you're doing well, mate. Love the book. Thank you, Ryan. You're an absolute legend. Hi, Mark. Thank you for all you've done for me during tough times with this community. You've built something really special to many people. Daniel, I'm glad you're doing well, and thank you for getting involved. Big boy, welcome as well. Look, you're entitled to think what you want to think. It's absolutely fine. I'm just saying, I think that we're always up against this pile-on of Manchester United, and I accept that. I saw it under Sir Alex. It's absolutely fine. But we've just won a game at the weekend. There is a lot of progression going on. Whether it's slow progression, it is progression. And it's not fair to start piling on constantly, especially ex-players who, you know, as an ex-player, did Man United not do you good? Did you not earn money out of this football club? You know, why are you now earning money out of this football club by talking complete and utter horseshit, trying to undermine the football club and get a manager sacked? So, you know, if you want to stick your head above the parapet and talk shit, then, you know, as Jamie Vardy said, talk shit, get banged, because you're not much of a pundit if you sat there this season saying it's the worst Man United side ever, because you're clearly not consuming football. You're just talking shit with Richard Keys, which, you know, a lot of people do. But Alliance says Dwight Yorke's talking the truth 100%. But you've got absolutely nothing to back that up with, have you, mate? You're just a troll on a Monday morning who doesn't like Ten Hag, which is fine. As I said, if you want Ten Hag to get sacked, that's fine. But don't make shit up. It's factual. We are making progress in many, many key areas, which are constructive points for football. Shots are about winning games. Not conceding shots helps you not help you not lose games. Passing is possession. Tackling wins you the ball back. All these areas we were factually failing in last season and we're improving in. So you can't have your cake and eat it. You can't talk about how shit we were last year and point at, oh, we don't do this, we don't do this, we don't do that. And then this season, we are doing it, we are getting better at it. You know, it's just negativity for negativity's sake, not actually looking at what's going on. Pundit, actually, winning games is winning games, not stats, says Adrian. We just won at the weekend. Rabiot has gone to Marseille, so he's off the table, says Phil. Well, I'm very, very glad about this. Is Mount available for tomorrow? I don't think he is, Garth. And we'll talk about that on the Barnsley preview at 2 o'clock with regards to injuries. There's a lot of stuff floating around there. We have got an Erik ten Hag press conference later on this afternoon, so I would, unless it comes from really good sources, I wouldn't be getting... Gareth Southgate, you've been boring me for ages on this channel, so it's a massive pleasure on a Monday to just remove you forever. Mark literally thinks Ten Hag is bigger than the club, says Marsh. Mate, I don't think I have sat this morning and said Ten Hag in or anything like that. What I'm talking about is a Manchester United side which is trying to grow, being chopped down again when we won at the weekend with complete and utter nonsense. Now, if you want the manager to be sacked, I'm calm. I don't care. I've had 2 weeks of it over the international break. We've had that. But what I will not do, and I don't know why anybody should do it, is lie about what is quite clearly progression in areas where last season I would have been sat here with this chat and the wider media going, look at how many shots Man United are conceding. I remember Ten Hag last season saying, we're conceding loads of shots, but not loads of goals are going in. We factually were conceding loads of shots last season. We're now not doing that. And people want to go, well, that doesn't mean anything. What does that mean? And I'm like, what? Or last season when we weren't creating chances and now we are. What does that mean? Okay, fine. You talking about there's no style of play. We're not conceding chances as much. We are creating more chances, but there's no style of play and those key parameters don't matter. Fine. Okay. Yorke probably meant Erik Ten Hag is the worst manager ever, which again, he isn't. United won. And also, I would expect ex-United players, especially those who have success, to be the ambassador for the club, not trying to raise their own profile, says Peg as well. Don't forget, players haven't had much rest, says Matthew. And he's probably still out. I don't know. There's a lot of work still to be done. But I just want positivity around the club. I want us to build some momentum. You know what? Case in point, actually, last night's video where we were speaking about Bruno and the Sancho thing. You know, in the comments, if you read the comments from last night, a lot of people agreed Bruno shouldn't have done it. But there's a lot of people in there who just used it as the opportunity to start talking about Sancho again and how he shouldn't have left. And it's amazing how many Man United fans are really good mates with Jadon Sancho, because there's just so many comments telling us that, you know, Sancho wanted to play. It was Ten Hag who wouldn't let him play. Yeah, so Sancho's going around chatting to all of you lot, but not the press, and telling you that he wanted to play for Man United. It's amazing. And ultimately, that was my issue with Bruno doing that, because all it does is stoke up the Sancho fan club, who are apparently Man United fans, but to start moaning about Sancho again. And that's what Bruno did. Bruno commenting on that, instead of sending a DM, just gives all the oxygen to all the Man United fans who love Sancho to start moaning about Ten Hag again and moaning about and praising Sancho. And that's why Bruno doing that comment was just absolutely stupid, in my opinion, because it just stokes up negativity again around the club when we're trying to build something, and quite clearly there are patterns of things that are gradually improving. I'm not saying we're getting top four. I think top four is going to be very difficult this season because Chelsea are building. Villa are very, very good. Newcastle won again. I mean, Newcastle got 10 points. I don't know how. I've seen Newcastle play. I don't know how they've got 10 points, but well organised. They're not in Europe. So top four is going to be really difficult for United this season. But I'm not going to lie that there isn't progress. Let me talk to you about Musiala. A lot of people saying, why is Musiala on the thumbnail? Well, I think ultimately, this is why the thumbnail says stop this. I really hope that this sort of nonsense stops, really. I really do. It needs to stop. I get the fact that Man United's a big drag in relation to the wider media, and you attach Man United to something and it makes it more interesting. But the story goes that Musiala isn't signing a new contract at Bayern at the moment. His contract is up in 2026. So basically, coming up for 18 months. It'll be a year in the summer. So maybe Bayern Munich would look to cash in the summer because they wouldn't want him to go for free the following summer. Fantastic player, Musiala. Absolutely brilliant. Would you rather have Musiala or Bruno? I'll run a poll because somebody just said it. But the bottom line on this is, at what point do we stop getting attached to these silly stories? And people will say, well, you know what? We did it with Euro, but we're talking about £120 million here, replacing a player that we've just given a massive contract to, and we need to invest in other areas. This is just not a story. It's just not a story, and yet it is a story because Man United get attached to Musiala for £120 million. There is no doubt in my mind that we should be buying players like this. there is no doubt in my mind that Ineos would love to buy a player like this. But 120 million quid for one player when most of other clubs would want him as well, and we haven't got 120 million pounds to pay on one player, it's just not going to happen, is it? It's a waste of time to even spend time talking about it. So would I want Musiala over Bruno? Well, it's a fantasy, and I probably would, if I'm being honest, because Musiala's a lot younger than Bruno, and Bruno's 30 now. So looking at a longer term project, I probably would have a look at Musiala for Bruno. I don't think there's any betrayal in that or negativity in that, but we're not going to, and we don't need to, because we've just given Bruno a massive new contract and 300 grand a week. So that's what we're going to do. And I don't see Bruno dropping off in the next 3 or 4 years anyway, because he's never really been about pace either. I mean, we saw him running through one-on-one against Southampton at the weekend. I mean, if that's Rashford, it's probably a goal. If that's Ahmad, it's probably a goal. If it's Garnacho, it's a goal. If it's Xerxes or Rasmus, it's a goal. But Bruno's not quick. So as much as like we probably should have scored from that chance, but Bruno's pace let us down, the positive is that Bruno's not pace dependent. So I don't see him dropping off over the next 3 or 4 years, if I'm being honest with you. So I think that we're not going to be looking at a number 10 for the next 3 or 4 years. So someone like Musiala, it's just not realistic. It's not realistic, and it's not what we need. And we shouldn't be being linked with these sorts of players. I think there's a lot more excitement and credibility for Manchester United to sort of adopt maybe a Manchester City model of 6-7 years ago, where every player they bought was around 50 million quid or below. And I think that's what we need to look at. We need to look at hungry players ready to make the next step. These players over 60 million pounds we really shouldn't be looking at anymore. Dennis says Musiala's 10 times better. Yeah, but as I said, if I had the choice between Musiala and Bruno, I probably would take Musiala, because I'm not stupid. He's nearly, what, 7-8 years younger, probably still got gears to go through as a player, different type of player, you know, absolutely indoctrinated into a possession-based style of football at Bayern. I think Musiala would be a baller at somewhere like Man City, Real Madrid, Liverpool. He's a fantastic player, but we're not going to do that deal. And we're not going to do that deal because we just heavily invested in an area that player plays, and it would make no... We also still got Mason Mount as well. What I'm saying is, attacking midfielder for Man United makes absolutely no sense financially. It would be stupid. So I don't mind talking about transfers, but this sort of a story to me is just an irritant, because it's sort of like the mistake of the last 10 years. Wasting our time talking about irrelevant transfers that we're not going to do, or if we did do them, would probably cripple us and cause a massive problem, because we don't actually need to do it. What about Alphonso Davies? Well, he'll be going to Real Madrid, mate. I don't think there's any idea about that. Amir said, would you do a Bruno and Musiala swap? Yes. Next summer, I would do it, but there ain't no way Bayern Munich are going to want to do that. But... yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, look, I really do like Bruno Fernandes, and we need to see a captain come through over the next year, maybe a De Ligt or a Martinez, because losing Bruno as a captain would be footballing suicide. But if in a year's time, Musiala wanted United and Bruno was happy to go to Bayern and both clubs were happy, why would you not move a 31-year-old to Bayern Munich and bring in a, 23-year-old? Of course, I mean, it'd be fantastic business, but it's not going to happen. Yeah, and I've seen a bit of criticism from Bruno this morning in relation to his performance at the weekend, which I don't think was that bad. But look, every Man United player should be under scrutiny. No player should be player FC. And just because Bruno's one of my favourite players, I'm not going to sit here and say that his... Well, we spoke about his social media post last night, but we're talking about his football. There are a bit too many 6 out of 10s from Bruno for me over the last 6 months, and I want to see more of that. But the assist at the weekend was very, very good for the first goal, and there was a lot. He was involved in a lot of the intricate build-up play. I just don't think he was as good as Xerxes, Rashford, Ahmad, Garnacho, but I don't think he had a bad game. I really don't. Patrick Lynch says, wait for the clips out of content of you saying Musiala over Bruno. Hope you're well, Mark, and thanks for all the content. Oh, well, you know, if Bruno's now my next contact, Bruno's, you know, good morning to the trolls. I mean, have you got a job? There are people who hate this community who spend time watching. They have to, the thing is, they watch the show because they'll take a clip half an hour in. So they're watching the whole show, which is fantastic. I should give them a shout out. While you're clipping up, hope you're having a great day. There will be a clip of me. You know, Bruno will be my next target now. Even though Bruno is one of my favourite players, and anybody who knows the United stand will know the almost obsession I had about Bruno getting him to the club in the first place when he was at Sporting, and we didn't get him in the summer and we got him in January. Just the most important player in our team at the moment, because we haven't got leaders. But we are trying to build something. Bruno won't be around forever. And if you're offering me Musiala and Bruno in a hypothetical swap deal, of course I'm going to do it. Would you swap Vinicius Jr. for Rashford? I don't want Rashford to go. I don't want Bruno to go. But I would do it. Would I swap Bellingham for Mainu? I mean, there's a conversation. I'm trying to look. Ultimately, there are players out there that offer something more than what we've got, because we're not a team that win titles. So there will be players out there that hypothetically you're going to take. But we don't need to do those deals, and we're not going to do those deals. Madrid getting all these players on a free is crazy, says Thomas. Thank you very much for your super chat, Thomas. And United One says, Bruno knows more about the internal issues than we do, and the displays of sympathy to Sancho and another indirect to Ten Hag, they don't rate him. Says United One. Mate, I don't really want to go back on what I said last night, but I 100% have seen that Bruno comment has stirred up the Sancho lovers and the Ten Hag outers. So, you know, on the very basic level, what Bruno did in doing that was either really naive or some have said tactical. I think it was naive. I don't think he's purposely stirred up the hornet's nest against Ten Hag to promote Sancho, but that's what he's done inadvertently with some people. I could see it in the comments section last night. He shouldn't have done it. Bynes director's comments on De Ligt, says David Gonzalez. Can you tell us what they are? And BG Note says, I feel like our own fan base doesn't even like it when we progress. We lose one game, people overreact. We win, people complain. It's very annoying. I sort of get that, BG, though. I mean, look, it was only Southampton. We have lost 2 of our first 4 games. Crystal Palace away on Saturday is massive. And if you lose that, the balance is more negative because you've lost 3 out of 5. So we can't go overboard. There is something called toxic positivity. I mean, there are some people I've had to block and unfollow because they're just too toxically positive. Like, it's almost acting, I think. So that you can go too far on the positivity scale. And people definitely go too far on the negativity scale. But my point, and I think many people's point is, yeah, it's only Southampton, but we've played 4 games, and you can see that we're conceding less shots, we're having more shots, and we've also got this movement of De Ligt, Mazraoui, who will get better, Yoro to come in, Mount, Rasmus, Shaw, hopefully to come back. Agate hasn't really got going yet. Rashford could be getting better. You know, Garnacho and Ahmad can only get better. There is so much about that team that could rise, and then you've got some of the stats becoming, you know, I don't like the word stats, but some of the key performance indicators improving, less shots, more goals, more possession. If everything rises together, then we could really catch on to a wave of momentum. And I'm not saying we're going to. I'm just saying to all the doubters and all the negative people, you can't not acknowledge that there are a number of things sort of bubbling up that if it works, we could really start to, dare I say it, cook. But look, we've been there before. But there are factually things that are improving. And there are players that are going to come in that hopefully are going to improve us and get fitter as well. Alphonso Davies, we've done that. Even as Mark is going down the names of that team with a good manager, we should be challenging for top 4, if not the titles, as United won. Mate, that's your second out of your arse topic this morning. What are you talking about? The title, mate. You need to just, like, I don't know what you need to do. I don't even touching grass is not going to help you. I mean, what are you talking about? We should be challenging for top 4, if not the title, with that squad. I completely and utterly... I'm sorry, I might be in the minority. What are you talking about? We shouldn't be anywhere near the title with this squad. We haven't been near a title for 10 years. Bloody title. The only title is the title in front of your name that says Super Prat. If Musiala goes to City, Xerxes will be hugging him in the tunnel as well. It will be the end to the rivalries. I think those days are gone anyway, Diamond. It's only legacy fans that understand rivalry, I think. How come Bruno is showing support, showing Sancho love, but tells Garnacho he's really stupid? I didn't know he told Garnacho he was stupid. We felt more comfortable with Upamecano and Kim because they defend higher up the pitch, says David Gonzalez. Look, I don't... Thank you very much. Let me see if I can find the quote, because the media will love this. The Harry Maguire Brigade will love this. So let me just see if I can find you the direct quote. It's from Fabrizio. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Bayern Munich director tells Manchester United worrying reason they greenlit De Ligt sale despite fan outrage. Bayern Munich sporting director has said that... I followed the petition, including... I know that the fans really liked De Ligt, and I followed it, including the petition. Nevertheless, I had to make this decision because we also had to sell players. We felt more comfortable with Upamecano and Kim Min-jae because they can defend higher up the pitch. And then an offer came in for De Ligt. There is a reason why he was elected... Okay, I mean, it's just one sentence. So most of it's very, very positive from the petition. Well, this is what the petition said. We all want De Ligt to stay. He's proven he's a world-class defender, probably the best in our squad. There is a reason why he was elected as our best player in 22-23. Furthermore, he's only 24 and has a bright future ahead, which he's going to use to fulfill his huge potential. Despite his young age, he's already very mature and has great mentality, which will definitely make him a leading figure in defence and probably a competitor for captaincy in some years. His ability to speak English, German and Dutch fluently would help him a lot for that. With 19 years, he's already brought Ajax Amsterdam to the Champions League semi-finals. Selling De Ligt would be an absolute horrible decision and we would definitely regret it. That's why we use our voice to call attention that we will not make this mistake. That was a petition signed by 70,000 Bayern Munich fans. And then you've got their, what is he? Director saying that they're more comfortable with Upamecano and Kim Min-jae because they can play higher up the pitch. Well, this is very good. This is very, very good. I like this. So you've got the director of Bayern Munich saying that they sold him because they needed to sell players and they felt they were more comfortable with Upamecano and Kim Min-jae. Fine. You've got an opinion. That is absolutely fine. He wants to keep Kim Min-jae and Upamecano because he believes they're better off with them than De Ligt. So De Ligt was the guy to sell. Fine. You're never selling Kim Min-jae after 1 year anyway. So that's bollocks. You wouldn't be selling Kim Min-jae because no one would be buying him. And Upamecano, I don't know what the situation is there, but maybe he just prefers Kim Min-jae and Upamecano to De Ligt. It's a free world. Don't tell him he's wrong. Don't tell him, that one person, that his opinion is wrong. Yeah, he's the director of Bayern Munich. Well done. But that doesn't make you better than Lothar Matthäus, who a couple of weeks ago said it was a massive mistake to let De Ligt go. I think I'm going to listen to Matthäus over whoever this director is. But more than Matthäus and more than this director, I'm actually going to listen to 70,000 Bayern Munich fans the same way I listen to thousands of you every year as well. Because I think fans of football clubs know far more than directors and anybody else. Because directors have got shareholders. Directors have got relationships. Directors are employed. Fans turn up, pay their own money and support the club. I'd listen to Bayern Munich fans over a director of a football club every day of the week. But ultimately, it doesn't matter anyway. It's just an opinion. It's just an opinion. And there's 70,000 opinions of Bayern Munich fans that I would take over one director's opinion who admitted he needed to balance the books. He said we needed to sell players. and we decided that Upamecano and Kim Min-jae were more important to us than De Ligt. Fine. Absolutely fine. I don't care about that. Most of your fan base didn't want you to do it, but that's your problem. That's Bayern Munich's problem. As a Man United fan, do I think De Ligt is better than Johnny Evans? Yes. Victor Lindelof? Yes. Harry Maguire? Yes. Job done. We've done our job. We've improved our centre-back roster for £42 million. I'm very happy with De Ligt. What Bayern Munich decide to do is up to them. We're not competing with Bayern Munich anyway. Bayern Munich are in the Champions League. We're not. So ultimately, even if he is right, even if Upamecano and Kim Min-jae are better than De Ligt's still better than the players that we're replacing and makes us better, in my opinion, for £42 million for a 24-year-old. Happy days. I'm very happy with this deal, and no director of Bayern Munich is going to make me feel unhappy with it. And I'll tell you what, if that director is saying that De Ligt can't play a high line, well, he definitely can play a higher line than Maguire, Lindelof and Evans. So again, tick in the box for us. I don't worry myself about stuff like that. Flash Talk says, is the podcast live today? Yeah, we're live in the Goldbridge Arms at midday, discussing the Premier League weekend. What a weekend it was. Loads to unpack there. Harry, and back on here as well at 2 for the Barnsley preview. Harry De Ligt, welcome to the Members Club. Love the name. And Akil says, in other words, we sold a player who got interest and couldn't sell the ones who didn't have interest from clubs. Yeah, exactly. Zeus, welcome to the Members Club. Patrick Lynch says, do you worry at all about Mainu, Delo and Mazraoui being overworked early in the season? Mainu especially hasn't had any rest since coming in. Well, I would be... thank you, David Gonzalez, for that quote, by the way. I would be absolutely stunned if Kobe Mainu didn't play. Sorry, if Kobe Mainu did play tomorrow. I really, really would. So I don't expect him to play tomorrow. And you're right, he does need to get a bit of break. Casemiro will need game time, and I think that, you know, you've got to look at it and go, just looking at Man United, got 2 players of the week on who scores Premier League Team of the Week, De Ligt and Diallo. But look, you're absolutely right. We've got to be, we can't moan about injuries last season on one hand, and then this season not talk about rest and recuperation. So, you know, Mainu's only 19. He definitely does need a bit of a break. And look, I'm not saying... The amazing thing is, Collier's older than Mainu. I think most of you know that. There might be some people going, what? But no, Collier is older than Mainu. Not by a lot, but he is. So we should use Collier. He's not as good as Mainu yet, but we should use Collier as well. You've got Casemiro. We have still got Eriksen. Obviously, Agate's come in. So we do need to and should be underworking Mainu, certainly. I think the more interesting point potentially is what we're going to do at fullback, because Delo has got that Bruno robot sort of thing going on where he doesn't seem to ever not be able to play. But it's scary, the fullback situation. I mean, fullback is such a specialist position. Somebody mentioned Alphonso Davies before, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Kyle Walker. You know, this fullback is a specialist position. You can't just stick Victor Lindelof at fullback or Johnny Evans at left back. It is such a specialist position. I mean, Mazraoui's got a knock. Fingers crossed he's back for Palace, and I think he will be, but he has got a knock. That you should always have cover for your fullbacks on the bench. We have no cover for either. We haven't even got a left back. We're using our right back cover is playing at left back. So we are ridiculously thin on the ground, and we're also going to be playing midweek, weekend for the next few weeks. So we're very short at fullback. A lot of people will say Amas, but the thing that is staring me in the face about Amas is that he's not even been on the bench the last few games. So it's not like Ten Hag feels that Amas is ready to be used if we had an injury to Delo. I mean, if Delo had gone off injured at half-time, it would have been Martinez to left-back, I think, and then, one of the centre-backs, which is fine, but Martinez is not really a left-back. Playing left-back at international football is a bit different to playing left-back in the Premier League. So, yeah, I am worried about the full-back situation more than I'm worried about the midfield and centre-back. I mean, I think centre-back, we're stacked. I think midfield, we have options, but fullback, we just don't have any, do we? And Yellow and Green Scarf says Delo got cooked. Mate, I will always give Delo, not a free pass, but I'll always give him a bit of leeway because he is not a left-back. He can do a job there, but he's not a left-back. Hanko was dirt cheap as well, says Vijay. Where did Hanko go? Didn't he go to Serie A, I think? Somebody in the chat just said Barnsley aren't very good. Mate, I don't think anybody's talking about us not beating Barnsley tomorrow. It's about getting some game time. Would you put Anthony at left back, says Sufyan. Mate, did you not see the clips last year? What was the game last season? I wish I was standing up. I'm going to do it. I can't stand up. I haven't got the stand-up desk. I have to do it off the chair. What was the game last season where Anthony gets told to go to left back? It might have been Liverpool in the Cup. And somebody from the crowd is filming it because the TV cameras don't pick up on it. He has a right tantrum, and then he starts talking at other United players like, he's told me to play, like when, I don't know whether you've ever been in this position, but, there's somebody who's not very good at their job, and that they're basically having a moan at you going, I can't believe he's just told me I'm not very good at my job, and you're sort of like going, read the room, mate, you're not. And it was like that. Anthony's going, he's told me to play left back. Me at left back. And I can't remember who the United players are, but they're sort of like, just get on with it. Stop moaning. Who are you? So I don't think he is going. This Anthony left back thing always makes me think of that video clip because I don't think there's any part of Anthony that wants to go and play at left back. He thinks it was just so funny on that clip. He's sort of like, me. He wants me to play. He's putting me at. It's like you're losing 1-0 in the Champions League final and Messi gets put at left back. And, Messi had every right to go, he wants me to go and play at left back when we need to win the game. Yeah, you're not that, bro. And I just said bro as well. Oh, God. It's as cringy as Anthony at left back. He ain't going to play at left back. No way. We should go for a strong left back like Theo Hernandez next season, says Robbie. I just hope it doesn't bite us in the arse. Morning, Mark. Hope you're still good. Can't believe we were able to get Yoro. When he comes back, Maguire will probably get less game time, says Delusional Unicorn. I think we're in a really good position. I said this last night with Harry Maguire. I'm very happy about it, actually. I mean, Seb's over the moon, but the reality is that we've got Harry Maguire as our fourth, third or fifth choice centre-back for the season. And Johnny Evans is still here and Victor Lindelof is still here if he ever gets fit. So, look, I know most people would have sold Maguire and Lindelof in the summer, but would we have bought another centre-back? Not so sure. So, I think it will be very interesting to see, how we use that. But if Maguire wants to stay and run his contract down and Victor Lindelof wants to stay and run his contract down, as long as we've got De Ligt, Yoro and Martinez ahead of them, why would you even worry about that? I'm not worried about it. I mean, I'd worry if he started picking either of those two players ahead of those lot, but I don't think he will. So I think it's good. A lot of people have been speaking about how the season starts now. Do you agree with that? No. The season started against Fulham. We've had two major setbacks and you can't reset and you shouldn't reset. I remember Solskjaer saying this and we should mention Solskjaer actually because I think he's got the best start to any Premier League manager's career in Premier League history. I think he won his first 6, maybe 7 in a row. And I remember him saying at that time, I don't want to lose, but that's going to be the real test because when you're winning and you're in the momentum and you keep winning and everything's going well, it's great. But, it's how you deal with obscurity and, how you bounce back from that always is the real test of a footballing side. And I suppose it's the test of life in real life as well, how you bounce back from, challenges. And this is not the real season starts now. That's such a naive and stupid statement. The season starts now. It doesn't start now. I get what people mean, like this needs to be a momentum. We need to start winning. But the season started against Fulham. We were very unlucky against Brighton, but we brought it on ourselves. We were humiliated and silly against Liverpool. We rode the storm against Southampton and then absolutely destroyed them. And now it just has to be, it's not about season starting now, it's about the consistency needs to start now. We can't have any more slip-ups. We've got to get into a rhythm and grow. If it's a graph, we went like that, and now we've just got to keep going up. So the season doesn't start now. It's about remembering what happened against Brighton and Liverpool and making sure it doesn't happen again and learning from those mistakes. And that's what I want to see happening with United. I think that if the first team can keep doing what they did on Saturday, and that's a challenge, I know, there are people that want to be part of this team and we will rise the tide together. You know, if you're Garnacho, Casemiro, Rasmus, Mount when he's back, Ugarte, Yoro, Luke Shaw, all these players won't come back together, of course. We'll have more injuries, but all these players that are wanting to be part of this project, wanting to be part of this team, they've got to come into that team and perform. And the only way that happens is if the first team players are performing. So if that can happen and there's hunger trying to get involved, then it should lead to momentum and consistency, which I think is the most important thing. We need a proper left back next summer, says MUFC. Crystal Palace are a lot more fast paced, says Emin, and yet they drew with Leicester at the weekend. So yeah. Savage says, what's your thoughts on Rasmus? Honestly, I haven't had any update on injuries that I would dare to share with you at the moment. But I would make predictions on and it's only predictions. I don't think Rasmus is back tomorrow. I don't think Mount's back tomorrow. I don't think Shaw's back tomorrow. I don't think anyone's back tomorrow. Even though I think it would be the perfect game for them to be back because it's Barnsley, I don't think they're back. We'll hear from Ten Hag, I think, at 4:30 today, but I don't think any of them are back. I think in relation to the injuries from the weekend, I don't think any of them play. Martinez, De Ligt, Maguire, Mazraoui probably don't play, which causes a lot of problems, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Casemiro at centre-back and then Collier plays with Ugarte, because if you play Casemiro and Evans at centre-back, you can then put Dalot and Amas as your full-backs, because really Mazraoui shouldn't play, De Ligt shouldn't play, Martinez shouldn't play, and Maguire shouldn't play, because they've all got knocks, and we only played 3 days ago. So I can see Ten Hag's update being people are making really good progress, like Rasmus and Shaw and Malacia and Mount, and we're still waiting to see the extent of what the issues are with Martinez and Mazraoui and Maguire. And we know that De Ligt was a calf strain. Sorry, not calf strain. Shit, no, not a cramp. So. I don't think Mainu will play tomorrow, Torre, but I'm moving into the Barnsley preview, which I'm going to do live at 2 o'clock. Welcome to the Members Club, Robbie. You're an absolute legend. Thank you very much for that. Let's have a quick look at some of your chats. Loving all the comments that are coming in over the last few days as well. Rasmus will be back for Tottenham, says Eman. That's still quite a long way away. Barnsley Tuesday, Crystal Palace Saturday, FC 20 Wednesday, Spurs, I think, is the following Sunday. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Rasmus was on the bench for Palace, but I think Barnsley might just be a little bit too soon. Realistically, Southampton on Saturday lunchtime to Barnsley on Tuesday night is a very quick turnaround, so I don't expect anybody to be back. Stefano says, how many changes would you make from Saturday's team? Mate, if I could make 11, I'd make it. Ultimately, this is what squad football is all about. I think the big story from the weekend, and we're going to be talking about this at midday, I think the big story from the weekend is how Arsenal go to Spurs, win 1-0 without Odegaard and Rice. I think that, to me, is what Man City have been doing for years. I mean, Pep Guardiola didn't pick Rodri for their first 3 games. 2 of them were away, West Ham and Chelsea. Not easy games. So what we're seeing with football now is this ability to go and win away at difficult games by resting players or having players out. And we need to, I know we need to establish a good first 11 and a style of play, etc. We do, but we also need to have a squad if we want to be successful, because there's just too many games. There's way too many games. Gone are the days where you'll ever see what I saw growing up. I mean, we used to play a lot of games. When I remember the late 80s, being a kid, and obviously when you're a kid, you're absolutely obsessed with football. And we used to have like teletext, which was like a shit version of the internet. And English clubs weren't in Europe in the late 80s, so there was an extra cup. There was the FA Cup, Division 1, which was the Premier League, the League Cup, Carabao Cup, and there was also something called, I think it was the Zenith Data Systems Cup as well. But you were playing every weekend and midweek games. And international, you didn't used to have international breaks. You used to play for Man United on the weekend. Then England would be playing Brazil at Wembley on a Wednesday. And then you'd be playing for Man United on a Saturday. So I loved that. That was great. The international game was midweek. I mean, you'd never be able to do it now. But you played a lot. You played the same amount of football for the same amount of minutes on worse pitches. But you only had 2 subs. And United would pick pretty much the same 11 every game. Those days are gone. They're gone. And obviously the game's is quicker now, and therefore it's more physically demanding. But those days are gone, and they have to be gone, because you can't see Man United picking the same team against Barnsley that they did against Southampton and Crystal Palace. He's got to rotate. And he should rotate, because there are a lot of players that need some game time. So I personally would make 11 changes, but I don't think we will. When the captain doesn't perform well, it affects the rest of the team. 6 from 10 from the captain is unacceptable, says Serge. I do, Bruno's one of those players that there are people that don't necessarily rate. He's certainly a section on the show tonight. Don't forget to tune in from 6:30 tonight. We've got fan forum, Monday night fan forum. Ricky's on, Beth's on, Kev's on, Maud's on, you're on. It's your topical show for the start of the week. One of those topics is going to be Bruno, and we know Ricky is always a good starting point when you want to talk about Bruno, but he's always going to divide opinion, Bruno. I'm a massive fan of his. I don't agree with what he did at the weekend, but that's life, isn't it? You know, the people we like don't always do the things we want them to do. Could Kone play against Barnsley? I mean, I'd love this to happen, Daniel. Love it to happen, but I don't expect him to be on the bench. If he is, very exciting. Very exciting indeed. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm on at 2 o'clock live with you for the Barnsley preview. Obviously we've got this show at 6:30. Get ready for that. Really excited about that. And midday, I'm live on That's Football in the Goldbridge Arms, discussing the weekend. The most yellow cards we've ever had in the Premier League. 2 dodgy red cards, which we benefited from. Worldies, Liverpool losing. Ange under pressure. Is Ange getting the pressure that Ten Hag would get? 4 points from 12. I tell you what, I don't think Spurs should be sacking Ange. But I have to say, the start they've had, if that was our start, would be absolute pile-on. An absolute pile-on, but there isn't. Take care, everyone. Speak to you in a bit.